Hi, everybody. My name is Varun Chandelier. I am a principal product lead in Azure Compute. My team leads virtual machine scale sets. And today, I'm very excited to talk to you about new capabilities that we are building into virtual machine scale sets, or as we call it, VMSS, to manage your VMs at scale with high availability. Let's get into the agenda of what we'll cover in today's session. We'll talk about what VMSS is, some of its benefits and features, common use cases that we see our customers use, and new capabilities that we are building as part of new orchestration mode, which we call as flexible orchestration mode. I'll go through a demo of these features, and we'll also touch upon how you can achieve high availability with scale for your workloads. We'll also, in the end, touch about how we are making your environments more secure by providing updates. And in the end, I'll share additional resources with you. First, let me get into what VMSS is. VMSS is our scale offering for infrastructure. It gives you an ability to spin up thousands of VMs instantaneously with a load balancer across different zones or fault domains to provide high availability and scale. It's also very easy to manage and deploy because VMSS is integrated into ARM, also with CLI, Terraform, for you to deploy your infra with the choice of tooling that you have. It also provides support for custom images and extensions. VMSS provides capabilities like auto scaling, which helps you to scale out your infrastructure using metrics, and it can react to your needs of customers and for your application in real time. So let me dive into some of the common use cases that we see customers use with VMSS. We see a lot of large-scale applications, SaaS workloads, stateless applications, stateful applications, container workloads that customers deploy on the scaled infrastructure. We also see a lot of lift and shift workloads deployed on scale set, because it gives you infra at your demand or how you have deployed in your data centers. VMSS also provides infra which is specialized, high performance, and it also offers capabilities for you to reduce your cost by using spot VMs, which are interruptible VMs, and save cost for your compute. VMSS is also used in batch processing workloads as well. Let me go into some of the benefits that customers see using VMSS. It's simple and flexible. What I mean by simple and flexible is you can simply provide a template that you want to deploy, which is the SKU of the VM, the operating system, extensions that you want to provide, and VMSS will stamp out n number of instances that you need. VMSS, with our new investments, is also converging the VM experience on Azure so that you have a simplified programming model of deploying either a single VM or deploying multiple VMs with VMSS, and the VMs that you deploy will look and feel the same. The only difference is with VMSS, you can do them at scale and very fast without human intervention. It also provides cost effectiveness. I talked about spot VMs. That's not the only way for you to save cost. You can use auto scaling to save cost, where you can scale down your infra and scale up or scale out your infra based on the demands of your workload, or if you see a surge in traffic, so on and so forth. It also offers benefits like Azure hybrid benefit for you, where you can save tremendous amount of cost with your Windows licenses. The other aspect that gets missed in this conversation is the operational overhead or the administrative cost that you have to pay when you are dealing with infra. A lot of time when customers deal with infra, they have to go inspect what their VMs are doing, what's the health of their VM, is it running in a good state or not. With VMSS, you can put all that responsibility onto the platform, and we take care of all of those health and infra-related things of your platform. So your cost of maintaining infra goes very low, and you can focus on your application more rather than looking at your infra. Additionally, we also support reserved instances, which are very useful for large-scale deployment. A lot of times when we talk about scale, we also think about resiliency. Stateless applications, VMs can come in and go, but that does not mean that a lot of VMs can go at the same point in time. With scale sets, you can distribute your VMs across different availability zones or fault domains. Fault domains in Azure is a concept where you can distribute your VMs across different fault units such that if platform is updating the infra, or if one of the nodes goes down, not all of your VMs are impacted at the same point in time. And with that comes the 99.99 SLA that we provide for high availability. One of the new additions that we've done in scale sets, and this has been a big ask from a lot of customers of availability sets and scale sets, is where they have a high resilient infrastructure or a quorum-based application where if one VM goes bad, you need to place that VM in the same fault domain unit, because that's how the quorum-based application knows where to go look for data or do some processing. With VMSS, now when you deploy a VM, you can also specify a fault domain, which is the logical fault domain. When you deploy that, you can specify that. With VMSS, the name is scale. So let's talk about a scale and performance for a little bit. With VMSS and auto scale and also like initial creates, you can create VMs in seconds, and you can create hundreds of VMs in minutes for you to serve the needs of your customer. With auto scale, you can scale in and scale out, and you can also mix and match the VMs to increase the performance. I'll touch upon that a little later in my talk on how you can do that. So now let's dive into some of the recent features and updates that we've done on scale sets. As I talked about, flexible orchestration mode and uniform orchestration mode. So let me talk a little bit about those. The VMSS that you know today, or that is available as a GA in the market, we are naming that as a uniform orchestration mode. What that means is the VMs that you get are uniform. They are of same size, same SKU, same size, same operating system and extensions, and so on and so forth. They're also not fully ARM-based resource. And if you know Azure, what I mean by that is the VMs that are created in uniform orchestration mode are dependent to the VMSS. We are introducing a new orchestration mode called flexible orchestration mode, which is tuned towards providing a highly available and a hyperscale environment for services to deploy their applications. And you can use identical or different VMs. You don't have to use different VMs, but in case you need to do a different size on your scale set, it enables that. With flexible orchestration mode, you can deploy VMs which are fully ARM-based resources, as I talked about previously in a previous slide. All these VMs are ARM resources. So if you deploy a VM individually or you deploy VMs using flexible orchestration mode, you will see a VM as a VM with full functionality of what a VM provides in Azure. Now, let's look into what flexible orchestration mode provides you. It provides a simple manageability and scalability solution. With VM being a VM, nothing different of how you deploy a single VM or as a scale unit. Your tooling, your expertise of managing VMs go through from a single VM to a scale unit as well. We also increase the application resiliency. The way we do that is you can either deploy a scale set into multiple zones. And when you deploy scale set into multiple zones, we spread your VMs across multiple zones and we keep them balanced with scaling and scale out so that you don't have unbalanced notion of one zone having most of your VMs, another zone does not. Other thing that flexible orchestration mode is bringing to the table is now you can have fault domain guarantees up to 1,000 VMs. Earlier, with availability sets, you had the scale aspect of high availability for up to 200 VMs. So we are 5xing that for you. So now you can have a large scale, highly available application for you. The other one is on the operation agility. As I talked about, you can have different VM sizes as you need to change size from one SKU to the other because Azure introduced a newer size, which is better suited for your workload. You can simply change the size and scale out onto the new size without impacting your workload. You can also scale in, scale out with auto scale so that you don't have to manually operate your infrastructure. Those are some of the things which helps you to have a cohesive and a simple to manage infrastructure with VMSS. Let me talk about what VMSS Flex, the flexible orchestration mode, so we call it VMSS Flex, or VMSS is bringing to the table. So as we are announcing GA today, it has been in preview for some time. We've learned a whole lot from our customers who've deployed availability sets, who've deployed VMSS today, and as we call it as a uniform orchestration mode. And we're bringing the goodness for both of those constructs with the update to VMSS within VMSS Flex. As you can see, it supports all the general purpose sizes, and we're working to add more support for other sizes that Azure supports. It also provides you full lifecycle management of instances, which in the other two columns you see on the uniform, that's limited. You don't get full access to the instance. You cannot do all the modifications that you would want to do with that. Not to say that you always want to do that, but in certain cases where you would want to do that, now you can. With availability zones, you can spread across different availability zones. In availability sets, you could only do a regional deployment. So you're bringing the goodness from both of these existing constructs into an update to VMSS. I talked about fault domains. I talked about mixing SKUs. That's available in VMSS Flex, mixing spot and pay as you go. You can create a VMSS, which is spot only, and you can add an on-demand or a pay-as-you-go VM when you create that to an existing scale set. Now you can do that, so it makes the operations a bit easy. We're working on image-based updates for VMSS Flex, and this is going to be like updates that we provide to VMSS as we're investing heavily on VMSS to provide the best-in-class infra management for you. I'll touch upon what guest security update means in a later section, but essentially at a high level, it provides you security updates for your infra. And as you can see, we're again getting best of the both worlds. I touched upon number of VMs. Flex provides you a very high scale infra with a limit of 1,000 VMs for you to deploy at large scale with high availability. Now let me dive into a demo where I will deploy 100 VMs and VMSS will automatically spread them across 3 availability zones. I will also do another demo where I will change the instance count on a VMSS, kind of simulating an auto scale, scaling in, scaling out to show the performance that VMSS brings you to rapidly bring up infrastructure for your applications. In this first demo, I'll be creating 100 VMs spread across 3 availability zones. So let's select the resource group. I'll give the name to my VMSS. Let's select West US 2. Let me select all 3 zones. Now I'll select the flexible orchestration mode. My image and my size are already selected. I'm gonna use an existing key for these VMs. And then I'm gonna go to the scaling tab and I'm gonna change the number to 100, which is, it's gonna create 100 instances for me across these availability zones. I can also go to the networking tab and I want to add these behind a load balancer. And I can select use a load balancer, and I'm just going to use the defaults that it provides. I'm going to go look back at the basics, and then everything looks good. I'm going to create the resource, and I'm going to create. What's happening in the background is that the deployment for these resources have started for the load balancer, the networking resources, so on and so forth. As you can see, the networking resources of load balancers and the virtual network are already created. The scale set is provisioning. Let's go and look at the scale sets tab on what's happening there. I'll click the virtual machine scale sets. I see Ignite demo. And I can see 0 out of 100 is where the scale set is trying to go. I'll click the instances. And what you'll notice is that I have 100 instances which are getting created right now. And if I go look at any one of those instances, you will see that these instances are full ARM-based resources, and they have all the functionality that an individual created VM would have. You'll also notice that this resource or this VM is placed in availability zone 1. You can also go look at the networking tab for this resource, and you'll see it has a full ARM registered NIC resource, which you can make any changes to if you feel like. Now let's go back to Ignite demo and let's refresh. And you'll see most of my instances are now in a running state. So I deployed 100 instances, and VMSS is going to deploy these 100 instances across 3 availability zones. So we saw one instance which was in availability zone 1. Let's pick another random instance and see where did that land. So you can see like this landed in availability zone 2. The other thing that you'll notice on VM instances which are part of a VMSS is you will see a reference of that scale set in the availability and scaling option of the VM. Let's go to the Ignite demo once again. If I look at the instances once more, and you'll notice all 100 of them are deployed across 3 availability zones. And this random one is deployed in availability zone 3. As you can see, VMSS deployed hundreds of instances across 3 availability zones in matter of minutes. And that too, adding it behind a load balancer to make it even convenient for you to manage these applications. In the second demo, I'll show how quickly VMSS reacts to scaling in and scaling out. Essentially, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the auto scale number. I'm going to use manual scale right now to simulate if auto scale would be listening to a metric, and in response to that, decreasing the number of instances or increasing the number of instances. So what I can do is I can change this number to 25. So essentially what I'm doing is, in a simulated environment, your traffic went down and your auto scale rule said, I want to get down to 25 instances. I don't need 100 instances anymore. And as I go and I look at the overview section of it, you'll notice that the capacity is going from 100 to a 25. And what is happening in the background is VMSS is trying to figure out which instances to delete from the scale set, and in a manner that keeps the zones balanced to best of our abilities. But you'll notice now you see we have 87 instances left. But traffic patterns are not always permanent. You could have instance go down because your traffic shifted, but then suddenly you could see a spike and you would want to increase the number of instances. So this is simulating that now you need to increase by 50. What you will notice that VMSS will try and accumulate all these changes and get to the state where you need to be. As you can see, like the old state was going from 87 to 25. Let me refresh. Now you will see it's going from 25 to 75. And if I go look at the instances, it's gonna show the 25 which are running. If I refresh the state, you'll see I have more instances that are getting created. And you'll notice most of my instances have now started to run. I have few instances which are still coming up, but that should be available in a matter of seconds now. As you can see how VMSS can rapidly scale down and rapidly scale up to match the demand of your workloads and of your service. Now, getting into security aspects of things and what's new there with VMSS. Two of the new features that we're introducing in VMSS are automatic ingest upgrades and automatic extensions upgrades. Automatic extension upgrades is a way for you to update your extensions, and those extensions are either provided by Microsoft or third parties, which makes you keep your infra safe with new updates. Let's deep dive into both of them. With automatic ingest patching, we will deploy updates to your Windows servers and Linux distributions for updates which are either security related or critical. Patches will be downloaded and installed, and they would be done in a safe and keeping high availability. What I mean by that is failed updates are retried. So you don't have to take action on those. Azure will retry that for you. We will go availability by availability zone and will not concurrently update VMs across availability zones. We'll go in by availability zones so that your workload still can work for your customers. If your workload is deployed in one availability zone or within one availability zone, we'll also go in batches. So we don't take all of the VMs down in a single zone as well, giving you the highest availability and also securing your environment against any security threat or any critical patches that the OS distro has applied. This date is also generally available with VMSS Flex. Now, let me go into automatic upgrades for VM extensions. Most of you have used VM extensions as to deploy your application or to have security aspects installed on your VMs. Till today, once you install the extension, you were not getting updates. If there was a new update, you have to manually go in and update those. With automatic VM extensions, we will update your extension when a new version of an extension is rolled out. You choose which extensions you want to automatically upgrade. And you can also opt out of automatic upgrades for extensions anytime you like. And this is also available in GA with VMSS and for VMs. The reason these are important features for you to consider is you do not want to leave your infra vulnerable because the authors of the extensions and OS distros regularly push out updates for the vulnerabilities that they've seen in their software. And you would want to keep your infra up to date as and when these upgrades come in. And with VMSS, we make it easy and simple for you to update that with high availability. Lastly, I want to touch upon an event which is happening on November 17th, which you should absolutely not miss. It's a great way to learn about Azure. It's called Azure IS Day. Erin Chappell and Andy Vergas from Intel will be there, and we'll have many sessions on infrastructure from Azure where you can learn more about how can you manage compute, storage, and networking easily. Here are some of the additional resources on VMSS for you to get started on VMSS and deploy your applications or expand your applications. I want to take the time to thank you for attending this session and spending the time to learn about VMSS and all the capabilities that we have introduced into the platform. And I'm really excited to see what you all will build with these new capabilities. And also reach out to us with questions and thoughts on how we can improve this product even better for you. Thank you.